So with Shibai being the strongest being that the Naruto or Borutoverse have seen thus far, boasting higher dimensional power, every anime fan rushes to the same question that we have always rushed to, seeing a super strong anime character newly introduced within any series. Can he beat Goku? Well, in this video, I am going to silence all questions and grant you the answers you seek and deserve. But before we get into the actual versus battle debate, let's first see what both characters have within their arsenal. So Shibai, since he has a smaller and more easily covered arsenal, I'll begin with him. Shibai's main ability is called Omnipotence. The ability itself is described as the ultimate power only an all-knowing and almighty God can wield or control, which fits the name given Omnipotence, as Omnipotence, the actual definition, grants unlimited power and all-powerful. And to kind of get rid of the well, isn't that a name fallacy? No, it is not, as I am not deriving this conclusion based on the name, or solely the name, but the meaning and or attributes given or prescribed to said ability. Moving on, the Omnipotence ability is also said to be a divine technique within a divine technique, a programming language of the gods that was said to be able to create entire worlds and this universe. That is what Omnipotence is. Now another question posed is, well, Troy, what can it do? Since it's basically take whatever you desire and forces it into reality, think of it as some kind of true imagination ability. As whatever you want it to do, it is going to do that. Whatever you desire, it forces that into reality and makes it become true. So if you desire a mighty thunderbolt that can wipe out a planet, then guess what? You have a mighty thunderbolt that can wipe out a planet. If you are fighting Goku, just like in this versus battle, and you wish to become a Super Saiyan to kind of match his power, and if you desire to it, you can become that Super Saiyan. We get a perfect example of this ability basically being conjured up or conjuring up abilities with Ida's enchantment ability, being a byproduct of Omnipotence. It is the ability to instantly enchant anyone that isn't an Ōtsutsuki or blood relative, causing them to not be able to harm or cause you any hurt in any way. With that being said, I would also like to go over why Momoshiki says that Omnipotence doesn't affect the Ōtsutsuki fight or the caster. That is clearly within the context of this application, because it is immediately followed up by, incidentally, that Uchiha girl is somehow unaffected as well, though it's usually the immune who suffers the most from Omnipotence. So it's basically telling Boruto in this instance that this application does not affect him and or Sarada. With that ability out of the way, that's borderline a desire ability. He also has the ability to instantly reflect any intent pointed at him. While in the manga it says it requires hand contact or Damon to have his palm on you, we see Damon, someone else who has this ability, in the anime use it without having contact with anyone. But for this video's sake, I will say him needing hand contact is canon, and that is what Shibai has as well. That's pretty much it for his abilities. Now let's get into how powerful Shibai is himself. So Shibai, if you didn't know, ascended into a higher dimension or plane of existence than what he was prior. He is now a fourth dimensional being, because just like we live inside of a fourth dimensional universe, 3 spatial dimensions and 1 temporal dimension of time, adding up to 4 dimensions, we are third dimensional. He is now a 5th dimensional universe, but a 4th dimensional being. So his spatial dimensions would be 4 and he would have 1 temporal dimension of time, making it a total 5D. Some popular refutations to this is, well, it could be spiritually or it could be the same dimension. We know that isn't the case because even after it specifically says that it is the mathematical type of definition when using the Japanese kanji, it also just states that he ascends to a higher dimension, which means he is climbing into this 4th dimension. So saying that it is only spiritual not only is unjustifiable, but it isn't even mutually exclusive to him being 4D. It can be spiritual while also being the 4th dimensional. Or in simpler terms, it just doesn't defeat the argument. And for it being within the same dimension, you can't say that either, because again, he says he ascended or went higher into this dimension, which contradicts his staying on the same plane or level. Now that we have established that he is needed or indeed a 4th dimensional being in existence, I will explain why a 3D being cannot perceive nor hurt nor survive a hit from a higher dimensional being such as a 4th dimensional being. So starting with why you cannot perceive them, we know higher dimensional beings move on an axis that lower dimensional beings cannot perceive, interact, or damage. Let me give you an example. A 2-dimensional person can only see length and width. So if it was up against a 3-dimensional person, he cannot perceive the height of that person. He can only see the length and width. But a 3-dimensional being can also see his length and width, but he does not have height, such as the third dimensional being. With the two-dimensional being not being able to perceive him or hurt him, that makes the three-dimensional being able to hit and move on an axis that the 2D being cannot perceive or defend against, and dimensions are infinitely or inaccessibly higher than the lower ones, as finite numbers cannot do anything to dimensional tiering. A 4D person is infinitely stronger and faster and more durable than a three-dimensional being, meaning Shibai can beat any third-dimensional person regardless of the hack's ability. And there is an argument about how Versus Battle has the arbitrary 4D next to the AP tiers that isn't the same as the dimensional tiering, as people with this AP tier can still have third dimensional existence, and to support this we can look at Kishimoto's understanding of dimensions within the manga series Samurai 8. This is the manga he made after Naruto. It sadly got cancelled. I haven't read it, but I have looked at the feats of it, which supports him having a clear understanding of how dimensional tiers and dimensional existence work. So the argument of, oh, Kishimoto doesn't understand what he's talking about, kinda falls flat here. Also, a little bit just added information. They were also supposed to collab with Boruto, but we never seen it. Wrapping that up, we have now established that Shibai is over any third dimensional person. So let's get into the king of shonen himself, Goku. Now, Goku's part is pretty straightforward. He's been around for 30 years. Everyone knows his feats. Him and Beerus combined was going to destroy the Universe 7 macrocosm. If you don't know, that just means that it had multiple universes within the overarching universe, which makes him either Universal Plus on the low end if you want to lowball him, or low multiversal, right? As he surpasses this feat that he does with Beerus together multiple times over later on in the series. So his attack potency is low multiversal, but that is not scaling up his dimensional tier at all, because like I said, finite multipliers do nothing to dimensional tiering. With that out of the way, let's get into the debunks that people use, or the wank that people use against Goku. Firstly, to the people who use the transcendent time statement that Jiren does versus Hit and thinks that it actually scales somewhere, it's not really that impressive, given how he could just be talking about within the context of Hit's time skip, i.e. the time that Hit is using, which is just a hack's ability, and him being above it means nothing. Also, him transcending, even if it was time itself, a one-dimensional construct does not make him 4D. Now, another common wank people use is Merge Zamasu, which people try to make him appear 4D or something when he is just fusing with the universe and timeline, not transcending them, such as a being like Shibai is. He also meets his end destroyed by Zeno's hand after Zeno destroys all the space within the universe, even though that is a bit of a contradiction, bear with me. He destroys seemingly all the space within the universe, and all the people like Trunks, Goku, Vegeta, Bulma, and the whole gang can perceive all of this fully, meaning that they are still 3D and he is still 3D, because him gaining power to supposedly be 4D wouldn't make sense if that automatically scaled up Goku and the rest of the gang to 4D as well, because then he did not truly gain this transcendent power. It becomes a contradiction. As we know, contradictions just cannot exist. And to kind of prove Zeno didn't destroy time, since of course that is a popular fan theory within the Dragon Ball fandom, the time travel machine is able to transport them back to the timeline that was supposedly destroyed, and also time is just the passage of events, and events passed post-destruction, making it a contradiction if the time was destroyed. And as we know again, contradictions cannot exist by definition. Another wank people like to do for Goku is trying to use the afterlife statements from heaven and such, saying it's a higher realm into the four-dimensional tiers, kind of like Shibai. But since it is specifically talking about these spiritual realms and heaven type of realms, and as we know heaven is just located directly above the earth realm, ascending to these would not mean anything or be talking about dimensional tiering at all, due to phrases such as ascending to this heavenly realm or to heaven. That is only spiritual, and the lack of that language used for Shibai, partnered with the kanji just outright saying it's the mathematical dimension, means his is fourth dimensional and Goku's is not. With that part done, Goku's abilities basically don't matter, as since Shibai is a higher dimensional being, he is just infinitely above Goku. And he is also infinitely above all of the people that Goku scaled to in Dragon Ball. There are a multitude of ways that Shibai could beat Goku. He can simply reflect Goku's killing intent onto himself. He can conjure up any wish with his desire ability. He can make Goku incapable of hurting him. He has Rinnegan ability, Byakugan abilities. There's so many things that Shibai can do to Goku, but there's so little that Goku can do to Shibai. Now this applies to every form of Goku, because like I've been telling you in this video, after I explain how dimensional tiering works, all of these finite multipliers such as Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God, and various other Super Saiyan transformations mean nothing. They do add to his power, but they do not add to his power infinitely. The last thing I would like to attack as what people use to get him like an infinite dimensional tier above what he was previously is shaking the world of Void. Now, the world of Void is stated to be a completely timeless and spaceless dimension that is infinite, an infinite space of void. However, people often misunderstand what the word infinite truly means. The word infinite is not always truly infinite, it is just large. Something that is truly an infinite or infinity is the inaccessible distance between two dimensions. That is true infinity or inaccessibility. What is not true infinity is if I was to say endless night skies or infinite night skies on planet Earth. Planet Earth is a sphere and is also finite, and me just saying infinite is hyperbolic as it just means very large. If you go to Google and search up infinite, it tells you right there. It could just mean very large. I don't see why people have a hard time understanding this, especially in Japanese culture with most of their language being hyperbolic. A lot of things that Japanese people use within their manga and or anime are used to hype it up and show like more shock value. That's why it is so hard to come to a conclusion on if a statement is literal or hyperbolic. We just remain agnostic if we do not have the ability to determine whether or not it's hyperbolic or literal. Lastly, to kind of end off the video, I kind of want to attack the people who are saying, okay, he got out of his physical body, so he can't really do anything to Goku, he's just a spirit. We see within Naruto a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot, spirits interacting physically with people on the human realm or human dimension. Hagoromo can interact with all chakra and people, even though he is in the spiritual plane or a ghost. Don has a jutsu that specifically casts his spirit and allows him to affect people. He even affects Madara and Tsunade within the war arc by transferring his spirit out of his body. Naruto can also grab his soul and various other things that I just don't have to get into. Souls can connect and touch physical people within Naruto. So even if he truly was spiritual and did not gain a new body, he can still use jutsu and he can still physically interact with physical people. The same for Goku. If Shibai was on the same plane as him, and since he is spiritual, Goku has came into contact with spirits as well. I know people do not like the Naruto version getting to those levels of power, but it is just true now, and this doesn't do anything to Goku versus any other Naruto character debate besides probably Ito or Damon, because Goku still slaps everyone 90% of the verse, just not Shibai and not other god tiers. If you wish for videos like Ida or Damon against Goku, or how Goku would interact with Naruto and Sasuke or anyone else within Crossverse, please leave them in the comment section below. I tried to be as fair as possible within this video, and I know a lot of Goku and Dragon Ball fans won't be happy that I am saying this, but I assure you that this is not biased, and I assure you that this is also the most fair interpretation I can go with. I scaled Goku to his most fair and highest, and I scaled Shibai to his most fair as well. If you have any disagreements, please leave them in the comments and or leave them in my Discord. I'll have that in the description as well, or you can just hit me up on Twitter. I will openly debate anything said within this video, and I will hopefully convince you of my side. Anyways, another video, or my next video coming, is more of a fun video. It's going to be the frauds of Naruto. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that one. I kind of come at some of your favorite characters in there, so be on the lookout for that. I know I haven't been uploading as like every 2 days as I did the past month, but more content is coming, so be on the lookout for that as well. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and like always, like, comment, subscribe. If you disagree, comment why, or even we can maybe debate like I said. If you don't want to, cool. If you want to, whatever. Goodbye.